Welcome back to the channel, another segment of Brian Reads the News. This is where I find a news article online, take it from my mouth to your ears, let you know what's going on in the world today. I've been doing these famous last words of celebrities. You guys have been really enjoying those videos, so I thought I would continue with that trend. Today I found an article of the famous last words of U.S. presidents. So I think we're going to get into that today. Let me give you guys a look. Here's a look at the article. Comes from verywellhealth.com website. It says the famous last words of U.S. presidents, their dying words and the events leading to them. So this article was written by Craig Raymond and it was updated October 22nd, 2020. So it's been around for a while, but let's take a look. It says, whether uttered unintentionally or with the full expectation of death, a person's last words are those that people will often remember and quote as if they somehow represent the core of who that person was. This is especially true of historical figures for which final words both humanize them and add to their mythology. Sometimes profound, sometimes mundane, here is a collection of famous last words spoken by some of our U.S. presidents. So they got a little photo here of Mount Rushmore with all the presidents on there. Can you guys name them all? You guys ever seen the other side of Mount Rushmore? I mean, there it is, clear as day. First president on their list was George Washington. Since they don't have a lot of visual element, I think what I'm going to do is give you guys a look at a photo of each president before I read about them. Let's take a look at old George. There he is. This is a photo used on the Wikipedia. Old George Washington himself. There he is. It says here, George Washington, 1732 to 1799. The first president of the United States was quoted as saying, "'Tis well. 'Tis well." After serving 2 terms as the nation's first president, Washington retired to his Virginia plantation in 1797. In mid-December of 1799, after enduring harsh winters on horseback while inspecting his property, Washington developed a severe sore throat and breathing difficulties. In an effort to cure him, Washington's doctors are believed to have drained too much of his blood in the then common practice of bloodletting, contributing to his death at age 67. Acute bacterial epiglottitis, the inflammation of the flap of the back of the throat, is often frequently cited as the cause of death. Number 2 on their list is John Adams. There he is, old John Adams. This is from biography.com website. That's the photo it came from. It says here, John Adams, from 1735 to 1826, the second president of the United States, was quoted as saying, "Thomas Jefferson survives." Interestingly, almost poetically, both Adams and Thomas Jefferson died July 4th, 1826, the date of the 50th anniversary of the final draft of the Declaration of Independence. Adams is said to have uttered the words about his longtime rival, unaware that Jefferson had expired just a few hours earlier. Congestive heart failure is believed to have been the cause of Adams' death. Thomas Jefferson survives. At number 3 on their list is Thomas Jefferson. Here's a photo of Thomas Jefferson from history.com. Handsome guy. Look at that straight nose. Says here, Thomas Jefferson, who lived from 1743 to 1826. In his final moments, the last recorded words of the third president of the United States were, "No, doctor, nothing more." Jefferson's last words are often cited as, "Is it the 4th?" in reference to the 50th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. While Jefferson did, in fact, utter those words on his deathbed, they were not his last. Jefferson has reported to have died of complications of kidney failure accompanied by pneumonia. Up next on their list is John Quincy Adams. John Quincy Adams. There's a look at old Quincy Adams. It says here, John Quincy Adams lived from 1767 to 1848. The 6th president of the United States was quoted as saying, "This is the last of earth, but I am composed. This is the last of earth, but I am composed." The second eldest of John Adams died of a stroke. In Washington, D.C. earlier that day, Adams, a staunch opponent of the Mexican-American War, apparently rose up to protest a bill in front of the U.S. House of Representatives meant to honor war veterans and immediately collapsed to the floor of the chambers. So not sure if I read that entirely complete, but he died of a stroke on the floor there protesting the Mexican-American War. So collapsed on the floor of the chambers. Died of stroke. Up next on the list is President James K. Polk. James K. Polk. James K. Polk, who lived from 1795 to 1849, before his death, the 11th President of the United States, reportedly said, quote, "I love you, Sarah. For all eternity, I love you." Polk is reportedly to have said this to his wife, who was at his side when he died of cholera at the age of 53. Up next on the list is Zachary Taylor. Zachary Taylor. Says here, Zachary Taylor, who lived from 1784 to 1850, the 12th President of the United States, was quoted as saying, quote, "I regret nothing, but I am sorry that I am here to leave, my friends." Taylor died of complication from gastroenteritis at the age of 65. Up next on the list is Abraham Lincoln. Honest Abraham Lincoln. Says here, Abraham Lincoln, who lived from 1809 to 1865, the 16th President of the United States, was quoted as saying, quote, "She won't think anything about it. She won't, quote, think anything about it." Some say his last words were, "It doesn't really matter." Lincoln's comment was in reply to his wife's question regarding what another woman seated next to him at Ford's Theater would have thought if she spotted him holding hands. He was shot a short time later. Up next on the list is Andrew Johnson. Andrew Johnson. Andrew Johnson, who lived from 1808 to 1875, the 17th President of the United States, was quoted as saying, quote, "My right side is paralyzed. I need a doctor. I can overcome my own troubles." Johnson died of a stroke soon after at age of 66. "My right side is paralyzed. I need a doctor. I can overcome my own troubles." Up next on the list is Ulysses S Grant. Ulysses S Grant. Says here, Ulysses S Grant, who lived from 1822 to 1885, the 18th President of the United States, was quoted as saying, quote, "Water. Water." Grant was suffering from throat cancer at the time of his death at age 63. Up next on the list is Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt. Says here, Theodore Roosevelt, who lived from 1858 to 1858 to 1919, the 26th President of the United States, was quoted as saying, quote, "James, will you please put out the light?" He asked his valet, James Amos. "James, will you please put out the light?" Roosevelt is believed to have died of pulmonary embolism by a blood clot, which has detached itself from a vein and entered his lungs. Up next on the list is Warren G. Harding. Warren G. Harding. Says here, Warren G. Harding, who lived from 1865 to 1923, the 29th President of the United States, was quoted as saying, quote, "That's good. Go on. Read some more." "That's good. Go on. Read some more." Harding was reported to have said that to his wife, Florence, as she read a complimentary news piece from the Sunday Evening Post about him during his official trip to the West Coast. Harding is believed to have died of congestive heart failure. Up next on the list is Franklin D. Roosevelt. Franklin D. Roosevelt. Says here, Franklin D. Roosevelt, who lived from 1882 to 1945, the 32nd President of the United States, was quoted as saying, quote, "I have a terrific pain in the back of my head. I have a terrific pain in the back of my head." Roosevelt was reported to have died of a stroke in or intracerebral hemorrhage shortly after. Much in the same way that Roosevelt's polio had been hidden from the public, his failing health during his fourth term had also been glazed over, leaving the nation shocked. Up next on the list is Dwight D Eisenhower. Dwight D Eisenhower. Says here, Dwight D Eisenhower lived from 1890 to 1969. The 34th President of the United States was quoted as saying, quote, "I want to go, I'm ready to go, God take me. I want to go, I'm ready to go, God take me." Eisenhower had been suffering from heart failure and is believed to have died of coronary thrombosis, blood clot obstruction, which triggered a heart attack. Up next on the list is John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy. It says here, John F. Kennedy, who lived from 1917 to 1963, the 35th President of the United States, was quoted as saying, quote, "No, you certainly can't. No, you certainly can't." Jacqueline Kennedy reported that her husband's reply to a statement made by Nellie Connolly, the wife of Texas Governor John Connolly, who asserted just moments before the assassination's bullet hit, "Mr. President, you certainly can't say that Dallas doesn't love you." The final president on the list is Richard M. Nixon. Richard M. Nixon. It says here, Richard M. Nixon, who lived from 1913 to 1994, the 37th President of the United States, was quoted as saying, quote, "Help! Help!" Nixon was reported to have called out to his housekeeper as he suffered a stroke at his home in Park Ridge, New Jersey. Damage to the brain caused a cerebral edema swelling, from which Nixon slipped into a coma and died the next day. Alright, there you guys have it, the famous last words of U.S. presidents. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this article. Just a reminder, this article comes from verywellhealth.com if you want to check it out. It didn't have those photos in there. I added those photos so you could get a look at these presidents as they appeared. I think most of them came from the White House website, some from Wikipedia, but give you guys a look at the presidents, let you know about their final words. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I know a lot of these articles are going over pretty well and you guys are watching them, so I'm going to continue to do them, the final words of these U.S. presidents. This is a little different. I got a couple articles, Brian Reads the News, up about the final words of some celebrities. I read an article in several segments, so those are up on my channel now if you want to check those out as well. If you like this sort of thing and want to come back for some more content like this, please consider subscribing to my channel. Ring that notification bell, and that way you'll be aware when each of these Brian Reads the News segments drop in the future. I want to thank you for watching this one to the very end. Thanks again. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye.